Alright folks, manifold is here. I want to thank George Hull, H-U-L-L, for selling this to me at a crazy good price, which I'll let you know. And his buddy Tom Murphy for crating this thing up. And he even put hand holes in the ends. So done a really good job. So we're going to take the screws out of it and see what we can figure out here. I know he said that it was in rough shape and it's going to need machine work, but that's okay. We don't mind. Then you go do a CAT scan. Nana, scanning the box. Check it out. Tell me if it's any good. Alright folks, we got the manifold, starting to take it apart. Pulled the carburetor off. Now this is the secondary carburetor. It's got the cast iron top without the choke plate. But it's hard to see, but somebody's actually got it blocked off with metal plate. So in other words, they was not using the secondary whatsoever. Using it as a single. You can see, I guess you can see the metal coming through. And I think this manifold here is going to be toast, because you can see light down through, and it's cracked here and here. But I've got a line on another manifold, exhaust manifold for this side, and I think we can work with the rest of it. Just need quite a bit of surface work. We've got to get these apart, and that's where we're going to have problems with bolts breaking and stuff, but you know, it is what it is. We'll just got to get it apart, so if they break, they just have to be machined off. Okay, so pry this loose so we can see what they blocked it with. And I think it's part of an old coffee can, not for sure, but it didn't feel as bad as it looks once we got it out. It pitted pretty bad, holes through it, but we think it says coffee on it, I'm not sure. Alright, okay, so we're going to heat up, try to get these bolts out. Can cut these off for the flanges, and this is the manifold that's ate up inside, and you can see it's got a crack also. It's the one I have made an offer on it, on one just like it. We'll see what happens. And the rest of this, like I said, it's rough as can be, but it can be machined. It just takes time. I used to have to do this on tractors all the time. Tractors seemed like it was way more prone to doing this. This had been sitting on the ground is why it done it, but a tractor would do this by just sitting and being a tractor for some reason. I guess because the engines, a lot of times the hoods were off and they got rained on. But anyway, we're going to get to heating some bolts and trying to get them out and see what happens. Okay, quit smoking cigarettes, so now I got to go to a striker. It's terrible, just terrible. Okay, so Scott and I got the bolts out of this one, heated it up, didn't break anything on it. This is the better manifold. This is actually the front manifold. And then you got the intake, which is not bad. Nothing broke. All we have to do is surface machine it, same way with that. And then we have this one, which is the bad one. And I've made an offer on another one just like it that has got some repairs right here. But they've been worked on, but it still has one small hole there, so it's going to have to be fixed. The other one is not broke here, but I think it says it needs heated coils in these two holes, but from the looks of it, it looks like the bolts are actually broke off in the holes. But setting up in a mill, that's not a problem to fix. So we're not worried about broken bolts, and you know, should be able to finish fixing what they've got. But if not, we'll save this one and we'll go back and do what we need to do. But the problem that I don't like about this one is it's cracked down here and here. What looks like happened is it got water in it and froze and actually pushed this out. Let me find a straight edge. See this, 1/8 on that side and probably 3/16 on this side stuck out. So we just have to grind it, try to get it back some, and then still have to surface it and everything after we get everything brazed up. But like I said, we're going to try not to use this one. See what happens and we'll go from there. All right. Okay folks, so we've got one exhaust manifold surfaced and ready to go, and we'll just have to make sure we do the manifolds the same distance, take the same amount off. And this was, like I said, the worst if I get to the other manifold. And so we got these bolts off. I went ahead and cut the flapper out because this was starting to twist and I didn't want to break it. So we're going to leave that for looks, and I'm probably going to make thin plates to go over this, and just to keep from heating up the fuel in the carburetor, and just run them. Probably get by without anything, but we'll see. So now we're going to try to pull the studs out of the intake and see how that goes. What we'll do is machine the top of the intake to level the carburetors out. So that's the plan, and then we can set up, and that shouldn't be a problem to do. And once that's done, we'll be able to set this up and machine the surface on the manifold, and it don't have to be surfaced a whole lot at all. It just needs cleaned up. All right. Okay, so what we've got here, the studs for the carburetor are 8 up. And I know what's going to happen if I go to try to take them out. They're going to break off. So the plan is I'm going to cut these studs off, and then when I machine this back flat, unlike what it's supposed to be, but we're going to machine it flat, and then I'm going to re-drill and re-tap all 3 of them holes on each carburetor, and that'll bring them back flat because I got the engine flat. And for anybody that thinks that, you know, the oil ain't going to run right to the pan or nothing like that, that's not the issue. That's not going to be an issue. If it was, you couldn't drive uphill with a car. So anyway, or downhill. So we'll cut them off and we'll get to milling. Okay folks, here's the rear carburetor, drilled and tapped, and here's the front one. We're getting ready to drill and tap it, so that one's good to go. All right. Okay folks, you'll have to excuse my phase converter there running in the background. You can hear it. I'm going to show you what this looks like with the with 2 Strongbird, just the 94 style Ford carburetors on it. That's probably what I'm going to run because I've got plenty of these, and they're easy to work on. And the ones that was on this manifold, of course, are stuck really bad. It would take some pretty major work to get them right, but I mean, they could be done, so I'm saving them. But just for speed and get this thing together, we'll probably run these, or 2 of these. I've got more. And then let me see, air cleaner. This air cleaner George had sent along with the manifold. As you can see, it's 8 up, but you know, I wanted it along with everything else. Okay, what happened was this thing laid on the ground with the face of it with this on the ground and the face of the manifold, the surface area. That is why, I'm not sure if you can pick it up on camera, but that's why this stuff is so rough. But you know, the entire thing was really rough, but you can see how good this one, you know, that it'll clean up. That one's cleaned up really well, ready to go. Didn't even have to take much off, not much at all, just enough to get the pits and stuff out, and it straightens right out. So we've still got to do the intake manifold. It could have probably been just cleaned up, but I want to take basically the same amount off it as I took off of this. That way the height of these will be close to the same. They don't have to be exact, but be nice if they're close. And then still waiting for word on the other manifold. If I don't get it, we'll be working on this one, patching that up and putting this piece back on. But if we get it, you know, it's going to save a lot of time and trouble. So we'll just have to see what happens with it and go from there. But so far so good. And like I said, the air cleaner, I'm going to probably redo this bottom, and maybe I'd like to use this, you know, use as much as I can of it anyway. I sort of like it. Now this is backwards from the way that it would go, but that's the only way that it'll fit on these Strombergs. But because it hits if you don't. But you know, I can change it around, put a smaller element in it, and we'll probably put like a regular air filter element. And I just like it. I like the way it's made. I like the way it looks on top. Looking good on there. I like that base. Now, another good thing about that, so when I get ready to mill this, which is probably going to be here tonight, I can set up two vices on my mill, one to clamp here and one to clamp here. We've got even flat surfaces on each side, machine surfaces. So that's going to make it easy to grab it. And then, of course, these will be facing up. And then we'll dial indicate them in and go on and surface them. And that all that's going to do is leave us with getting, you know, our other manifold together. And I'll know more on that here soon. Okay, folks, so here's what we got set up. I got two Kurt vices set up to hold each side of it at the same time. And what we're going to do is dial indicate from end to end to get it what I want. We've got to take this sleeve out. One sleeve left in the whole manifold. So we are just going to take off, well, I'll measure the other one and see how much I took off. I measured it first before I started, so I've just got to measure it again and subtract so I'll know exactly what I took off the other one. Probably wouldn't have to take as much off this one, except maybe this end. As you can see, it's pretty pitted up. You can feel the deep pits in it and stuff. But yeah, it's about like the exhaust was, so we'll get it out, no problem. And these sleeves, these are really nice to have for lineup sleeves, and we used to have them on tractors too. You don't have to run them, but you got to be really careful about your manifold. If it gets loose, it will slide down, and you want to try to get your holes lined up right. So I may end up making some before it's over with, and you know, I'm not going to have as much depth in there to put them in, but I'll still have enough to add some in it. All right, there's the first pass. As you can see, it's already cleaning up pretty good. So, anyway, keep at it. We had one spot here, so we barely touched them ones. So the manifold was definitely warped. Not much, but it was warped some anyway. Second pass on this one. A few spots left. next one, pretty rusty, pitted some. Not pitted deep though. We got a deep pit on this one. Let's see what happens with this one when we go through. Much better. Well, now depending on the depth of this one and how bad these are going to be in this back one, we might get by with one more pass. Alright? I believe we got our last pass going. Looking good. Looking real good. Alright? Okay, so we got our intake done. See it come out good, all but there's one little spot right here where that pit was really deep. I mean, you can barely feel it, but the gasket will still seal around it, so there's no issue there. I just didn't want to go any farther with it. That was about the max I could go because I wanted to get it level with this one. So now I'm going to stick some bolts back in, and then we're going to check the level between that manifold and this one, and see how close we are. All right. What do you think now? You look good? Yeah. Okay, folks. Bolted the exhaust, or this half the exhaust manifold back on the intake, and just wanted to show you a couple things. The holes in this intake are a pretty good size, and they do that so you can leave these loose and line up just to get your surface right. As you can see, this piece of aluminum, that we are perfectly straight and flush, so that's going to bolt down just perfect, no problems there. So all we got to do is worry about our other exhaust manifold. So if we get the other one, that's fine. If we don't, that's fine also. We'll just fix what we've got. But anyway, coming along, and won't be long. It'll be ready to stick on. Actually, I probably could go ahead and stick this part of it on, but we'll wait anyway. But there's nothing else to do machine wise on the intake or the exhaust here. I might straighten up this a little bit. There's a surface right here, and I kind of wish it took a donut, but it don't. But this is just a flat surface. You can hit that with a file and it would be fine, but not sure what we're going to do yet on that. So, and we may make plates to go between here and the exhaust to keep the exhaust from coming up, heating up the intake. I don't know how much it would help, but we may do that. So we'll figure it out as we go. All right. Appreciate everybody watching. Till next time. Bye. Okay, folks. I almost forgot to tell you. I was going to tell you what this manifold and carburetors and the air cleaner and everything cost, and George bought this at a auction years and years back, and like I said, it'd been laying on the ground for a long time, as you can see, and he gave $35 for it, and he wanted his money back. So we're doing real good on this project. So shipping was a little higher than that, but I was glad to get it. So anyway, George, appreciate you sending it, buddy. Thank you. Alright, almost forgot the cucumbers. It's raining on them, so we'll get these things planted. I think the night after tomorrow is supposed to possible frost, so I'm going to have to take these in the house with me. Not tomorrow night, but the night after. And then once that's over with, I think we'll get them planted. Alright, bye.